want to stop hating on yourself, you really need to know this. The reason why we hate on ourselves is because we keep on getting ourselves into the same problems over and over again. The reason why we do this is usually because we have a very genius way of overcompensating for one of our weaknesses. I'll tell you a story. There was once a boy with cerebral palsy who was trying to walk up some steps. And then there was a man who was watching this. And as he's watching, this older man's watching this young boy climb the steps with cerebral palsy and just kind of like clumsily hunking his way up the steps, the man's like, what a genius. What a genius brain can figure out actually how to get up the steps with that much challenge. We're all like this in a similar way. We have something that's missing, that's been missing probably for a very, very long time. And because it's missing, we find genius ways of overcompensating for that which is missing. So we have maybe just a hard time taking care of ourselves, making the right food to eat so that we're healthy. So we find all different kinds of ways of avoiding that. Genius ways and genius things that we can do and all the different things. But the simple thing of just being able to take care of ourselves, we're missing that. And this repeats itself in all different areas of life where we just simply lack and we're like hating on ourselves. Like, why is this so hard for me? The reason why it's hard, it's not your fault. The reason why it's hard is simply because your brain has not yet had the ability or been given the environment and the tools that it needs to learn how to do this thing. Now, so many kids go through school without getting basic skills. And as I've taught, like I just couldn't understand. Like I went to school and I saw there were kids who was like were in 8th grade and they still had a hard time reading. And I couldn't understand how that happens. And then I teach my own kids and then I understand, oh, this is how it happens. Because what ends up happening is there's some core fundamental skill that's very simple. But for a particular child, it's not that simple. And he needs a way of learning it. He needs a way of approaching this that he hasn't yet approached before. But if he doesn't get that, and he doesn't get that core skill, then everything else is harder. And then he has to find genius ways of overcompensating for that deficiency that he missed out. So I've seen, when I teach my kids, I can see how they struggle with certain things. And I'm like, hold on, wait a second. Why is this so hard? We must be missing something. And then I backtrack a couple steps, redo something that was in the fundamentals. And then once they do that, it's easier. Success in life usually comes down to really getting good at fundamentals. I think Bill Belichick, the best football coach of all time, is always very big on fundamentals. How good are you at the fundamentals? And usually when we're missing out on something in life and we're hating on ourselves, it's because we lack certain fundamental life skills, certain ways of processing the way we think, the way we feel, and that affects how we handle challenges, how we handle our struggles, and how we handle ourselves in relationships. It affects the certain kinds of decisions that we make, especially core big-time decisions. And when we learn how to see these things and slow down, I'll tell you one more quick story. I was once working with a client, and I asked him, what do you want emotionally in your life? And I want to tell you, it took him about 25 minutes to be able to answer that question. To identify even what his emotions are, to be able to actually say, I want to feel this, or I want to feel more of this or less of that. It was fascinating to me to see that. There's certain basic core skills that some of us are lacking when it comes to simple, just being able to understand ourselves and life. And instead of overcompensating with all these different kinds of elaborate things to cover it up, we can just slow down, rewind, get the fundamental skill, and then move forward with ease.